I exposed my wife's secret affair, froze joint accounts, changed the locks, and watched her financial world crumble as I reclaimed my freedom now. What had started as two people struggling together in a cramped apartment had transformed into a life of comfort after my construction business finally took off. The promotion to regional supervisor came with a substantial raise, one worth celebrating. That night, we drank expensive champagne and laughed like we hadn't in months. I thought it was perfect, until she said those words. We were in bed, caught in what I thought was an intimate moment. Her eyes were closed, her breathing heavy when she whispered, "Just imagining my ex right now." The room went cold, my body froze, but my mind raced with calculations. 7 years, countless sacrifices, building a life while she was apparently building fantasies about someone else. I pulled back slightly. Her eyes snapped open, realizing what she'd just revealed. "Oh God, I was just joking," she stammered, forcing a laugh that sounded hollow even to her own ears. "Come on, don't be so serious." Most men would have reacted with immediate rage or pathetic hurt. Instead, I nodded and gave her a small, knowing smile. "Interesting joke," I said, my voice steady and low. I rolled away, claiming fatigue from the day's celebration, watching as panic briefly flickered across her face. She tried recovering, placing her hand on my chest, offering to make it up to me. I declined, explaining I had an early meeting. The confidence in my refusal clearly unsettled her. She had expected begging or anger, not calm dismissal. Sleep didn't come that night, not from hurt, but from strategic planning. While she eventually drifted off beside me, I mentally reviewed our shared accounts, property deeds, and the patterns in her recent behavior that suddenly made perfect sense. The guarded phone, unexplained absences, and dismissive attitude despite my career advancement. Morning revealed nothing unusual in my demeanor. I prepared coffee, kissed her forehead, and left for work as usual. She sent multiple messages throughout the day, unusual for her, checking if I was still upset about last night. I responded minimally, maintaining the illusion that her slip was forgiven, if not forgotten. At the office, between meetings, I made 2 important calls, first to my bank, then to a private investigator recommended by a business associate. Information was now my most valuable currency, and I would gather it methodically. That evening, she tried compensating with an elaborate dinner and excessive affection. I played along, watching her performance with detached curiosity. The desperation in her eyes told me everything, not remorse for betrayal, but fear of losing financial security. My recent promotion had nearly doubled our household income, while her part-time job barely covered her personal expenses. As she slept beside me that second night, I slipped away to the home office. Her laptop password hadn't changed since I set it up years ago, another oversight born from complacency. What I found confirmed my suspicions: hidden message threads, deleted but recoverable emails, and search history for her ex-boyfriend. By dawn, as she slept soundly in our bed, I had already begun separating our financial ties. She had foolishly joked about imagining her ex while with me. Now I would ensure she spent the coming days imagining life without my income. The next week unfolded like a chess match where only one player knew they were competing. During breakfast, she repeatedly touched my arm, checking for warmth, for reassurance that her slip hadn't damaged her meal ticket. I remained cordial but distant, giving just enough to keep her from panic, withdrawing just enough to keep her uncertain. The private investigator called while I supervised a project downtown. "We've got movement already," he said. "She met someone at a cafe 20 minutes after you left this morning. Looked pretty familiar with each other. Get photos," I instructed, "and follow the money." That evening, she announced she'd be meeting the girls for dinner Friday. When asked which friends, she rattled off names I'd heard countless times but people I'd rarely met. Convenient alibis who supposedly worked at her yoga studio. "Sounds fun," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "Actually works out perfectly. I need to stay late at the office anyway. New contract negotiations." Her relief was palpable. I just handed her an uncomplicated evening for whatever she had planned. What she didn't know was that I had already rescheduled my meetings to free up the entire day. Thursday night, I executed the first phase of my strategy. While she showered, I accessed her phone and activated location sharing with a secondary email account she knew nothing about. I also photographed her credit cards, not just the numbers, but the security codes too. Friday arrived. She spent unusual time getting ready for a casual dinner with the girls. New lingerie I wasn't meant to notice. Extra perfume. clothes I'd never seen before. After she left, I waited 20 minutes before following the location data. The tracking led not to any restaurant downtown, but to an upscale hotel across the city. The private investigator was already there, documenting her arrival and the man who greeted her at the entrance. Tall, familiar from the photos I'd found, wearing the entitled expression of someone who takes what isn't his. That's him, I confirmed over the phone. Get clear shots of them entering together. While they enjoyed their rendezvous, I visited my attorney with the preliminary evidence. This is more than enough to establish grounds, he confirmed. But if you want to protect your assets completely, we need to document financial misconduct too. He wasn't wrong. Around the 3-year mark of our marriage, I'd added her name to one of my accounts, a gesture of trust she was now betraying. During our conversation, an alert came through. One of her credit cards connected to our joint account had just been charged at the hotel restaurant. Dinner for two, $347. There's your financial evidence, the attorney noted. But wait for more. The stronger the pattern, the better your position. I drove home before she returned, making myself visibly comfortable on the couch with case files spread around me when she walked in. Her makeup was slightly smudged, despite obvious attempts to refresh it. Her story tumbled out unprompted. How dinner with the girls had run long, how they'd had so much fun catching up. I nodded, asked nothing about her evening, and instead shared details about the complicated contract negotiations that never happened. Her relief at my disinterest was telling. She misinterpreted it as obliviousness rather than strategic patience. That night in bed, she reached for me, perhaps from guilt, perhaps to ensure her hold hadn't slipped. I claimed exhaustion from work, watching concern flicker across her face. She was calculating too, wondering whether her position remained secure despite her indiscretions. Saturday morning, I made a crucial call to my bank from the privacy of my car. By Monday, new accounts would be established in my name only, with automatic transfers set to move most of our joint funds gradually, leaving just enough to avoid suspicion. Walking back into our kitchen, I found her texting rapidly, angling the screen away as I approached. When she looked up, I simply smiled and asked what she wanted to do this weekend. The anxiety in her eyes as she scrambled for a response confirmed everything. She wasn't just imagining her ex anymore. She was actively betraying everything we had built while counting on my continued financial support. Monday arrived with new revelations. My private investigator delivered a folder thick with evidence, photographs documenting 3 separate meetings over the past 2 weeks, hotel receipts, timestamps. But most damning were the transcripts from their social media exchanges, obtained through methods I preferred not to question. I'll be swimming in cash once this promotion kicks in, she had written to him. He's completely clueless, thinks I'm actually happy about his boring construction job. Another message read, can't wait to see you Friday, told the idiot I'm meeting friends again, same hotel. The words should have cut deep, but instead, they crystallized my resolve. This wasn't just physical betrayal. She was leveraging my success while mocking me behind my back. The investigator waited silently as I reviewed everything. There's more, he finally said, sliding across a bank statement. She opened a separate account last month. Been transferring small amounts from your joint account. Nothing obvious, but it adds up, almost $5,000 so far. And the destination of these funds? Some went to hotel charges, some to gifts. That watch he was wearing in the photos, she bought it. Premium brand, about $1,200. My money purchasing gifts for the man she was betraying me with. The calculated nature of it all was almost impressive. I want phone records next, I instructed. Every call, every text. That evening, I suggested we review our finances together, a quarterly check-in I'd always insisted upon throughout our marriage. Her hesitation was immediate. Can't it wait? I've got this splitting headache. Tax season's coming, I countered smoothly. Better to get ahead of it. Won't take long. Trapped by the reasonable request, she reluctantly sat beside me at the dining table as I opened our financial software. I navigated deliberately through our accounts, watching her face as we approached the joint checking account where she'd been siphoning funds. That's odd, I remarked, pointing to several transfers. These withdrawals, what were they for? Her explanation came too quickly. Oh, I've been setting aside money for your birthday present. Wanted it to be a surprise. My birthday was 7 months away. How thoughtful, I replied, letting the obvious lie hang between us. Though it seems like quite a lot for a gift. Well, you deserve something special with the promotion and everything. I nodded, closing the laptop without pursuing it further. Her relief was palpable, mistaking my apparent acceptance for naivete. What she didn't know was that the seeds of her financial separation had already been planted. Wednesday brought another development. Her yoga instructor friend called the house phone while she was showering. I answered. There was confusion in the woman's voice when I mentioned my wife had gone to dinner with her last Friday. "That's strange," she said. "I haven't seen her in weeks. She keeps canceling our sessions." I thanked her for calling, making no mention of the discrepancy when my wife emerged from the bathroom. Another lie confirmed. Thursday night, I found myself working late at the office, genuinely this time, when the investigator called with urgent news. They're planning a weekend trip, 3 days starting tomorrow. Lakeside cabin upstate. "Has she told you yet?" "No," I replied, checking my watch, "but I expect she will tonight." True to prediction, she was unusually attentive when I arrived home. Dinner was prepared, my favorite meal, and she'd opened an expensive bottle of wine. "I've been thinking," she began halfway through dinner. "My friend from college is having a rough time. Divorce stuff. She asked if I could come stay with her this weekend just to help her through it." I watched her construct the lie with practiced ease, adding details for authenticity. The friend's name, the supposed custody battle, how she'd be mostly just listening and helping with the kids. "Sounds like she really needs you," I responded, raising my glass in apparent support. "You should definitely go." The flash of surprise on her face was telling. She'd prepared counter-arguments for resistance that never came. As she left to pack overnight essentials, I texted my attorney the update. Everything was proceeding faster than anticipated. While she prepared for her romantic getaway, I finalized preparations of my own. By Friday morning, she was gone, kissing me goodbye with promises to call that evening. I waited until her car disappeared down the street before making 2 calls. First to my bank, confirming the complete separation of our remaining accounts, then to the locksmith, scheduling an immediate appointment. While she spent the weekend imagining a future with her ex, I was systematically ensuring that future wouldn't include a single dollar of my hard-earned money. The locks on our house were changing. Now I just needed to change the locks on our financial future with the same decisive permanence. The locksmith finished by noon on Friday. I handed him cash, leaving no paper trail, and pocketed the new keys. Only 2 sets made, both for me. Next came the digital locks. Passwords changed on every account that mattered: Netflix, streaming services, and most importantly, the smart home system she'd insisted on installing last year. The security cameras, thermostat, garage door, all reset to recognize only my authorizations. Her expected check-in call came that evening, with manufactured background noise suggesting she was at her friend's busy household rather than a secluded cabin. "Everything going okay with your friend?" I asked, my voice neutral. "It's tough. Her ex is being such a nightmare about the custody arrangement." The irony of her discussing fictional custody battles while betraying our marriage wasn't lost on me. "Well, tell her I'm sorry she's going through that," I replied, then added deliberately, "It's important to have loyal friends during difficult times." A slight pause on her end. "Yeah, anyway, I'll probably be pretty busy. Might not call much. Take all the time you need." While she enjoyed her romantic weekend, I executed the next phase of my plan. Saturday morning, I met with my attorney again, this time with a complete financial portfolio. We documented every account, every investment, and most critically, every instance of her financial misconduct. "The pattern is clear," he confirmed, organizing the evidence. Misappropriation of joint funds for personal use related to the affair. Deceit about expenditures when questioned. This strengthens your position considerably. We drafted preliminary divorce papers, though they wouldn't be filed immediately. Timing remained critical. That afternoon, I visited our safe deposit box at the bank, another access point she'd forgotten I controlled. Inside were our marriage certificate, property deeds, and various valuables we'd collected. I removed everything except documents with her name, transferring them to a new box at a different bank. By Saturday evening, I transitioned our investment accounts to freeze any withdrawals without dual authorization. The joint credit cards remained active, but with significantly reduced limits and new alerts that would notify me of every transaction. Her text came late. "Miss you. Hope work isn't too stressful without me." I marveled at the performance, pretending affection while lying in another man's arms. My response was calculated, just focused on securing our future, more truthful than she could possibly realize. Sunday brought another critical step. I visited my parents, explaining the situation with calm determination rather than emotional breakdown. My father, never one for dramatics, simply nodded. "You're handling it right," he said. "No begging, no screaming, just consequences." I transferred important documents and irreplaceable family heirlooms to their safekeeping. Some family photos too, the ones that actually mattered to me. Let her keep the staged vacation pictures that now seemed as fake as our marriage. My mother, practical as always, asked the key question. "When will you confront her?" "When every exit is closed," I answered. "No financial escape hatches, no leverage, complete position of strength." Sunday night, the investigator sent final confirmation, photos of them leaving the cabin, kissing openly by their cars before departing separately. The timestamp showed 7:43 p.m. According to her latest text, she'd be home around 10 o'clock after helping her friend get the kids to bed. Those 2 hours gave me time for final preparations. I selected key photos from the investigator's evidence, printing them in high resolution, not all, just enough to make denial impossible. I arranged them in a folder alongside bank statements, highlighting the transfers to her secret account and receipts for the gift she'd purchased him. At 9:45 p.m., I uncorked a bottle of expensive champagne, the same brand we'd shared celebrating my promotion, set out 2 glasses, placed the folder beside them on the dining table, then dimmed the lights and waited. Her key wouldn't work in the new locks. I'd hear her confusion, her attempts to enter what she still thought of as her secured sanctuary. The doorbell would ring and I would answer, not as the deceived husband scrambling to understand, but as a man who had methodically dismantled every aspect of her betrayal before she even realized she'd been exposed. The digital doorbell camera alerted me to movement on the porch, right on schedule. I straightened my tie, checked my reflection in the hallway mirror, and moved toward the door with measured steps. Behind it stood a woman who thought she was still in control of our narrative. She was about to discover how completely the roles had reversed. The doorbell rang a second time, more insistent. Through the security camera, I watched confusion transform into frustration on her face. She tried her key again, jiggling the handle with increasing force. Finally, she called my phone. "Hey, something's wrong with the door. My key isn't working." "I know," I replied evenly. "I changed the locks." A pause. "You what? Why would you?" "I'll let you in. We need to talk." I opened the door with deliberate slowness. Her expression cycled rapidly between irritation, confusion, and the first flickers of fear. She entered cautiously, noticing the dimmed lights, champagne, and formal setting. "What's going on? Is this some kind of surprise?" Nervous laughter. "Our anniversary isn't for months. Consider it a different kind of celebration," I replied, gesturing toward the dining room chair. "Please sit down." She complied, eyeing the champagne with growing unease. I remained standing, pouring a single glass and placing it before her. I didn't pour one for myself. "Aren't you having any?" she asked. "I prefer clarity for this conversation." Her eyes drifted to the folder. "What's that?" Rather than answer, I opened it and methodically laid out the first photograph, her embracing her ex outside the hotel. Her face drained of color. Where did you get that?" I placed another photo beside it, them entering the hotel room together. Then another, the cabin from this weekend. Hotel receipts, bank statements, gift receipts for the watch, each piece of evidence arranged with surgical precision. 7 years, I finally said. 7 years while I built something for us. And all this time you were building something else entirely. I can explain. "You already have," I interrupted, sliding forward the transcripts of her messages. "You explained how I'm clueless, how my boring construction job funds your lifestyle, how you plan to be swimming in cash from my promotion." Her strategy shifted instantly, tears formed. "It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. I don't even care about him. It didn't mean anything." "Apparently it meant $5,437 from our joint accounts," I replied, tapping the bank statements. "It meant lying about meeting friends when you were booking hotel rooms. It meant ridiculing me to your lover while spending my earnings on him." She reached for my hand across the table. I withdrew it smoothly. "Please," she begged. "We can work through this. Couples therapy, a fresh start. Everyone makes mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. It was a campaign. Calculated, sustained deception." Her tears vanished abruptly, replaced by a hardened stare. "Fine. You want to play it this way? I get half of everything in the divorce. The house, your business assets, everything. My lawyer will destroy you." I smiled for the first time that evening. "That's where you're wrong. Your lawyer, if you can afford one, will receive these same documents showing financial misconduct. The separate account, the misappropriated funds, the calculated affair using marital assets. I slid another document toward her, a statement from our now separate banking accounts. What did you do? Her voice trembled. Protected what's mine. The accounts have been separated, credit cards restricted, investment accounts secured. Her eyes widened with growing panic. You can't do that. It's illegal. Actually, it's perfectly legal when documented financial infidelity coincides with marital infidelity. My attorney confirmed it. Attorney? You already have an attorney? I nodded. For weeks now, while you were planning weekends away, I was planning too. She pushed back from the table, anger replacing shock. This is our house. You can't just lock me out. Our house. Check the deed. It's in my name. Purchased before our marriage, with documented sole ownership maintained throughout. You insisted on keeping your name off it to avoid entanglement with your previous debts. Another calculation that's backfired. Her breathing accelerated. Where am I supposed to go? I imagine your lover has accommodations, though his enthusiasm might wane when he discovers your cash flow has been interrupted. You heartless bastard, she hissed. After everything we've shared, including your fantasies about your ex. Yes, that was quite the sharing experience. She stood, knocking the champagne glass over. I'll fight this. I'll take everything. With what resources? The joint credit card in your wallet has already been reduced to a $500 limit. Your secret account received an anonymous fraud alert and has been frozen pending investigation. You have until morning to pack essential belongings, only yours, which I've documented extensively. This calculated revelation of her complete financial isolation triggered something primal. She lunged forward, swinging open-handed toward my face. I caught her wrist effortlessly. Physical assault, I remarked calmly, captured clearly on our home security system. Would you like to add that to your legal challenges? I released her wrist and stepped back. Dawn is coming soon. I suggest you use these hours wisely. By morning, I expect you gone. You'll regret this, she whispered. You'll miss me. Realize what you've thrown away. I looked directly into her eyes. I'm not throwing away anything of value. I'm removing a liability. The only thing I regret is not seeing you clearly sooner. She stormed toward the bedroom. I called after her. The security system tracks everything removed from the house. Only personal belongings, remember? The rest has been inventoried by my attorney. As she slammed the door, I calmly cleaned the spilled champagne. The confrontation had gone exactly as anticipated. Initial denial, attempted manipulation through tears, financial threats, and finally impotent rage. Every reaction predicted and prepared for. Every counter move nullified before she even made it. Morning would indeed bring a new dawn, just not the one she had imagined. Morning arrived with the distinct sound of luggage wheels scraping across hardwood floors. I sat at the kitchen island reviewing construction contracts while sipping coffee, not bothering to look up when she entered. This isn't enough time, she said. 2 suitcases and 3 bags surrounded her. I need days to sort through everything. You've had days, I replied without lifting my gaze from the documents, while you were exploring cabins upstate. She exhaled sharply. Where am I supposed to go? That ceased being my concern when you whispered another man's name in our bed. Her facade of anger cracked, revealing the calculation beneath. I need money, just enough to get settled somewhere. I finally looked up. Interesting. Your lover isn't offering financial support? Perhaps he only valued the fantasy, not the reality of responsibility. The slight flinch confirmed my suspicion. She'd already reached out to him. Discovering his enthusiasm cooled considerably when her access to my finances evaporated. You can't just dump me with nothing after 7 years, she tried, voice softening. That's not the man I married. The woman I married existed only in my imagination, I countered. Much like your ex apparently existed in yours. I reached into my pocket, extracting a sealed envelope which I slid across the counter. Your final statement from our joint account. The remaining balance, approximately $2,700, has been transferred to a new account in your name only. Consider it severance. She snatched the envelope, tearing it open. This won't last a month. Neither did your discretion. I returned to my contracts. You have 15 minutes before I call a car service. The driver has instructions to take you anywhere within 50 miles. What followed was a desperate phone spree. Calls to friends whose expressions of sympathy didn't extend to offering accommodations. Her parents. who'd never approved of the divorce from her previous relationship, offering little beyond "we told you so" platitudes. Each call ended with increasing desperation. With 3 minutes remaining, she received a text that brightened her expression momentarily. "My friend is letting me stay with her," she announced, as if scoring a victory. I nodded indifferently. "The car will arrive shortly." As predicted, the doorbell rang. The driver loaded her luggage while she lingered in the doorway, making one final attempt. "When you calm down, call me. We both know this is just temporary." I approached her, maintaining perfect composure. "Let me be absolutely clear. There is no temporary. There is no reconciliation. There is no future scenario where you return to this house or my life. The locks have changed. The accounts have changed. My perspective has changed. You'll be lonely," she warned. I was already alone in this marriage. The only difference now is I won't be financing my own betrayal. Something in my unwavering tone finally penetrated her denial. For the first time, authentic fear replaced calculation in her eyes. The realization that her safety net had truly disappeared. "Goodbye," I said simply, closing the door as she stepped toward the waiting car. Through the security monitor, I watched her departure with clinical detachment. And I made 3 calls in rapid succession. First to my attorney confirming her exit, then to the security company upgrading our monitoring services, and finally to my bank ensuring all automatic payments linked to her expenses were permanently discontinued. Within hours, the consequences of her new reality cascaded. My phone lit up with notifications. Her gym membership auto payment declined, subscription services terminated, credit monitoring alerts showing her desperate applications for emergency credit cards. Most denied due to her limited income and previous debt issues that had resurfaced, without my financial credibility supporting her. By evening, predictable messages arrived, first veiled threats about exposing our private issues publicly, followed by attempts at emotional manipulation, culminating in outright pleas for financial assistance. I responded to none. 2 days later, my investigator reported she'd moved from her friend's house to a significantly downgraded apartment across town, the only place willing to accept her limited proof of income and damaged credit. Her lover had indeed disappeared, suddenly too busy to maintain their relationship now that hotel rooms and expensive dinners weren't part of the equation. 1 week post-separation, I received a formal letter from a discount legal service, her attempt at demanding spousal support. My attorney responded with our comprehensive evidence portfolio. The claim was withdrawn within days. At work, I channeled my newfound clarity into expanded business operations, securing 2 major contracts that had previously lingered in negotiation. Colleagues noted my renewed focus without realizing its source. I simply nodded and directed conversations toward project timelines rather than personal matters. 3 weeks after her departure, I sold the house, another asset solely in my name, and purchased a sleek downtown condo closer to my main project sites. New space, new environment, clean break. The only communication I accepted from her came through my attorney, a request to retrieve additional belongings from storage. I approved it without comment, instructing the facility to document everything removed. The final text arrived on a Sunday evening, a single line revealing the full circle of her journey. "He left when the money ran out." I didn't bother replying. Some lessons must be self-taught. She had imagined her ex while sharing my bed. Now she was free to imagine my income while facing the reality of her choices. As for me, I'd stopped imagining anything about her at all. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.